Okay, you're not gonna, oh no. I was gonna say, you're not gonna be able to see me. I'm trying to get this so I don't have to move it and it doesn't fall down. If you've been here for a while, you know that I'm always scared my camera's gonna fall down. Okay, so today what I'm going to do is I'm going to show a simple, we got some questions on where to even start. Like I have my first project, where do I even start? What do I need? So I thought I just found this table at a thrift store, and so it's a perfect little project. And I actually put my paint sweatshirt on this time so I don't get paint all over something that shouldn't have paint on it. So that's your number one thing. Always put on paint shirts, or because you always have good intentions that you're not going to get paint on something, and every single time I do a project, I have paint all over me. So always put on paint clothes when you're going to do some painting. But anyway, so I just found this at a thrift store, and so I thought it's a perfect little project. These projects, I'm going to pick more of them up, just because they're perfect to kind of show you how to do these easier things, or just getting started. So I love little projects like this. So usually they are inexpensive too. So, they are, inexpensive, and then you can, for your house, or if you're flipping it for profit, it's a win-win either way. So this is a little end table, and it did kind of have up here, I will show you, but that didn't scare me because I knew I was going to paint it. And so the first thing you want to do, and I didn't bring down my other cleaning thing, is clean your pieces. So that's your first thing you want to do. Let me show you what I used on this. You do not have to have this to clean your pieces. So since this kind of had a little bit of sheen on the legs, and I've already done some stuff here, so it did not come like this. It all looked like this when I bought it. I should state that. Since it had a little bit of sheen on it, I wanted to clean it and kind of take a little bit of the sheen off. And so this Crud Cutter gloss off is great. I can give you a link to this. I just got it on Amazon. I'm sure you can pick it up in any store as well. But so I just used, you can use it in a spray bottle, but I save old towels all the time. And so when they get, cruddy, or I'm not going to use them anymore, I always cut them up for these kinds of projects. So always save your old towels, cut them up, pick some up at the thrift store. So I always I always use these for a lot of things. I use it for my Restore Finish. I'll use it for glazes. I can use it for all kinds of things. But for cleaning this with the Crud Cutter, I just did this and then just wiped it all over and cleaned it. You can put it in a spray bottle and spray it, but I'm not outside today, so I didn't want to spray my walls and everything with Crud Cutter. So I've already done that. So that's, with any project you do, you want to fully clean it. Make sure you are fully cleaning it. If you don't have Crud Cutter, I use vinegar and water. I have used just like an all-purpose Mrs. Meyer's cleaner. I use my Thieves cleaner. It doesn't have to be anything special. Just make sure you're cleaning every area, like even under here, underneath here. For a small project like this, a table, I will paint underneath and underneath the legs. So all of this will be painted. That's another question I get. So any little piece or project like this, I will always paint underneath. I am not painting inside drawers of dressers or anything like that. I will not do that. But a little piece like this, I will for sure paint underneath. So first things first, paint clothes and cleaning your piece. And then you need to, I shouldn't say then you need, because it doesn't always have to happen. So depending on the paint you're using, I like to use Dixie Belle paint. I've used Fusion Mineral Paint. I've used Country Chic paint. Those are the three main ones I have used. You don't always have to prime your pieces, that's why I love them. So it takes out one step. It's less product that you're spending money on, and it's made for projects like this. You know what I'm saying? So it covers so well. So, but for this one, since I kind of wanted to show you guys steps that you can take through your projects, kind of a basic paint 101, I did go ahead and prime this. So I thought I'm trying to figure out the best way to do this so you guys can see. We'll just do it like this. Okay, so I'll show you. If you have watched any of my blog, or I'm sure I used it in one of the previous videos that I have done, I like to use Dixie Belle Boss. It's I call it a primer because it'll stain block, odor block, the color won't come through. I love using that stuff. And I'm trying to think of, that's the main primer that I use right now. See what I mean? I'm just a messy painter. But Wise Owl Paint, I've heard such good things about this paint line. This is the stain eliminating primer, and it went on white. They do have a clear option. If I know I'm going to paint a piece and I'm going to have to prime it, it's just like when we're painting like at a flip house or our own house, when we get like the ceiling paint that goes on pink, but then it dries white. Same thing here. I want to see my primer. I want to see where I've gotten it. So the white primer is great because I'm going to paint over it, so you're not going to see it. And I know where I've been. So that is what I've already used here. And I'm going to finish this. I don't know if I'm going to, so this is pretty dry right now. So I don't really have to prime that. I just wanted to kind of show you guys. This table's going to be an experiment just because usually I wouldn't do it, leave a leg like this, but I'm just trying to illustrate just kind of your simple products you may need. Like I said, all products are different, or all projects are different. But this is kind of a basic 101. Where do I start if I'm going to paint a project? So usually I would just shake the can, but since I didn't close this fully, so I'm just using the little paint stick to make sure everything is stirred up. If you guys could see that, it was kind of settling at the top. And so I'm just going to, I always say, this is a bad example because this isn't really mixed. I didn't shake it. Whenever you shake a can of paint, no matter if it's a gallon of paint, a small can like this, there is so much product in the lid. Always use that product first. Okay, I'm trying to not make a mess. Okay, this also too is a problem. So you want to make sure you clean that up before you put a lid back on. I'm just going to set that there. Here's another tip. Plastic. So use Ziploc bags or like saran wrap type of things. I see that people put their paintbrushes when they're done using them in the fridge. I've tried it once. It wasn't like I just put it in plastic if I'm still going to use it. So I only put it in plastic if I still have to come back to my project and work. Otherwise, I'm cleaning out my brush. And I just use like Blue Dawn dish soap. I have used like Fusion's brush cleaner, and it's really good, but you don't have to have that. Just some hot water and some Dawn dish soap is great. So one thing I do say that you should invest in are good paintbrushes, and these are, I've shared this many times, but this is the 2-inch from Zebra paintbrushes. I just love their paintbrushes, but I've really liked this one too. So you really just have to, this one's from Wise Owl. It's their Klingon brush. You just have to find a brush that, number one, it's not going to fall apart on you, because we have wasted so much money on cheap brushes because, I mean, we didn't want to spend a lot of money. And so, but it was a total waste of money because they didn't clean up well. So they were like garbage after your first, not even a full project. So all you want to do is get a little bit of paint on your brush. Now, I always dip it in a little bit. I just have a little area here, right? If you had more area, you could, you don't want to come past there on your paintbrush with the paint. And then I always brush off the back end or the back side of the brush, just because you don't want, if you get too much paint on your piece, you're going to see a lot more brush strokes. There's going to be more drips. You want to layer. This is the primer, so don't worry about this layer. But you want to layer paint and not get it on so thick just to cover it, if that makes sense. Okay, so I'm getting it all over me. Can you guys see? So yeah, so then this is just one layer. I will just do one layer of this primer. Like I said, I probably didn't even need primer for this piece, but I wanted to kind of show, since there was a question about where do I start, and which we all need to know where to start. It's a good question. So I just kind of wanted to show you how, if you were using primer, just kind of how these steps work. So I'm going to show you something when you're painting. Okay, first of all, when you're doing the first coat, if this was paint, primer, or whatever, it doesn't look very good, right? It's not, it doesn't cover perfectly. Don't give up there. Secondly is when you are painting edges. So this can be on any kind of furniture, a dresser, a buffet, anything. But when you come to an edge, so see, here's an edge here, the edge here. You want to make sure that you don't have so much paint. Let me turn this. Basically, after you paint this side, you want to make sure that the edge is cleaned up so there's not a bunch of paint build up right here. Does that make sense? Because usually when you're on one side, so if you're this way looking at it and you're painting, you don't see what's happening on the other side. So especially on like a buffet or like a dresser where the side is really not facing you. This table's small enough so I can see it. But you just want to clean up those edges and those lines every time you paint. I'm just adding a little more coverage there. So I want to I'm trying to see underneath there was a lot of extra paint on those edges. So you want to look at every angle and just make sure that you clean up those edges. So now that I've done underneath there, what I want to do is I want to turn this, and now I want to make sure I clean up the edges that would have been from underneath. Yep, see there was a little extra paint that came up here on this side from me doing the underside of the legs. So you just want to wipe that away. So if you get this all done, like I did here, just before you're ready to put your paintbrush in the plastic or wash it or whatever you're doing, make sure that you just go around. Just go around and look at no matter what kind of piece you're doing, you just want to look at your edges and make sure there's no excess paint. It's easier. It's not an end all be all if you find it after, like it's dried, it's fine. It's just easier to catch it now and just wipe it up when the paint's still wet. If you did find some later and it's all dry, all you have to do is just take a hand sander and just sand it off and just redo it. So it's not the end of the world if it happens. Okay, so like I said, I don't think I'm going to, let me close this primer. I'm not going to prime that top, just so I can show you. Sorry, this is going to be loud for a second. Make sure, I did kind of clean out the edges there with my paintbrush. Make sure you close your paint when you're not using it, because there have been many times where I haven't really closed the lid and I bump it or whatever and I've spilled it all over. Not fun to clean up. So I'm just putting this back in the plastic for now because I'm not going to wash it right away. Another thing, when you do wash your brushes, keep them upright when they're drying. So keep them like this and not like this when they're drying, because all the water then gets down in here and it's yucko. You don't want that. So just always have them standing upright like this when you are drying them. Okay, so I showed you this. So obviously somebody used this as a plant stand or something, and it's water. It looks like water has been spilled there. It's kind of rough. So for a small project like this, I can just use my hand sander. Okay, good, that you guys can see. And this is great. This is working perfectly. So you can see how much, I have not really pressed hard. Literally, there have been sanding projects where I am like getting the best arm workout ever. It's really simple. And I will tell you I'll tell you the grit of this sandpaper in just a minute. So this tells me this needed a good sanding before I were to put any paint on it. It was really rough, and just with a little bit of sanding, you can see all of that came off. So this is I didn't want to say it wrong. Yeah, it is a 120. So it's not even very coarse at all. Another tip, I just want to tell you this as I'm thinking about it. You don't want to sand after you've painted. Like I did just paint that, just because you're going to get that sanding stuff into your paint. So do that. But since this is just kind of a, what do I want to say? Just, yeah. But if you were doing this, sand first, then do all your stuff later. I should get, here, hang on one second. So now that you've done all that sanding, you want to just use a damp rag. I didn't think about this beforehand. I should have grabbed a spray bottle, but I didn't. So this is just using my, so I am, can you guys see this? Okay. I am just, obviously you do not want any of that sanding dust and debris that's left over on in your paint. That wouldn't be good. So you just want to use, you can buy tack cloths, but why? But this is how, that's all just residue from that sanding. So you just want to get all that off. And so when I'm doing a lot of the pieces, especially for our house, I like the imperfections. So I welcome them just like she said she did. So you could get your rotary sander out and really go down and get down to the raw wood for this. But like just feeling this, I can tell it's a lot more smooth. It's going to take the paint just fine. And any imperfections that it has, I'm okay with that. So I am going to prime this, you guys. I said I wasn't, but I am going to, just because it's got that water stain. So let's, I'll cover that up with some primer. And then maybe I can show you the color. I have not opened this color yet. Can you guys see? Okay. You can also use, if you like, do you like the feel of rollers? And you can also use little rollers. I do have those on hand as well. Certain projects, I like to use them. The paintbrush is always easy for me. It's easy for me to grab. We have our, other rollers and other paint supplies up in our, like I'd have to get a ladder. They're up in our garage. Easy for Matt to get down, not so easy for me to get down. So a paintbrush is I always have it down here. So, but definitely you could use a roller if you're worried about paint lines. And another thing that helps with paint lines is water. But usually, can you see this? So after you get it all done and you have no really extra paint on if you just do one swipe, just in the same direction, it just gets rid of all of that. If you've got good paint, and so far you guys, I really like this Wise Owl paint. Okay. It's gonna be loud again, sorry. I just don't want to spill this in here. Okay, again, putting it in my plastic. Now underneath here is not painted yet, but I will get to that when I won't bore you guys with all of that. So what I do is I put it in, I close it as far as I can, and then what I want to do is I want to wrap it on itself, because you want to get all that air out and you want it to be tight on your brush, and then lay it on itself so the plastic doesn't come off, if that makes sense.